Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're hailing from. Welcome to another episode of GitOps Guide to the Galaxy. I am Chris Short, executive producer of OpenShift TV. I am joined by my fellow Red Hatter and teammate, the one and only Christian Hernandez. Christian, how are you today, sir?
I'm doing great. How are you? Doing all right?
Hanging in there? I'm hanging in. I'm going to T-ball practice later
You're hanging
today.
in there.
Ask me after that. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Nice. All right. I'll check up on you after that. So, well, what's interesting about this today's episode is that it was something that someone's been I guess most people have been asking me for a long time, talking about RBAC and Argo CD. And it's and I decided, finally to dive in, right, to figure out Argo. I originally had this episode planned earlier, but it kept getting pushed out. And then we went GA, right, with OpenShift GitOps, and then the content that I had before no longer applies.
Right.
But I think I'm because once you go GA, things break, right? Or things that were valid before,
of course.
Okay, well, it's not valid. So but I think I'm going to still go over the bulk of it is going to be applicable. So for me, it's interesting to talk about RBAC and Argo CD because I always think of Argo CD as synonymous with GitOps and as a practice, and it's not necessarily, right? We've always said, Chris, and you said it a lot, is that GitOps is a practice, not a tool,
right?
But I always, since Argo CD can be used for GitOps, I always use it synonymous. So I always, when people say RBAC with Argo CD, it's why are you doing RBAC with Argo CD? Because why would people even log into Argo CD? Like for me, as a GitOps practitioner, it's you're doing everything through Git. So why do you need to log into Argo CD? But so that's my opinion.
There are some cases where somebody might have to log in to manage it.
Yeah. Yes, correct. Well, one, to manage it. Also, it's for status, right? If a developer wants to see, is my stuff broken? A view only.
Are the builds breaking? Yeah.
Yeah, the build's breaking. Is my application in sync? Things like that, and also people use
the whole 9 yards. Yeah.
Yeah, metrics, right? It's that does make sense, and also people use Argo CD not just for GitOps; they use it for their event-driven architecture, right? So at the tail end of their CICD process, right? CD, obviously Argo CD. So in those cases, it makes a lot of sense, right? For me, it's oh yeah, that makes, if you're not doing a 100% GitOps, using it as a in your event-driven architecture, it does make sense. You do want to log in and initiate some syncs, pause some syncs, do some troubleshooting. That completely makes sense. So
especially when you're first starting to use it, right?
Yeah,
you definitely need to be able to jump in and be okay, that wasn't expected. What do I need to change?
Yeah, let me take a look around. How do I troubleshoot? So so in my core, right, in my core belief, my core GitOps, right, if you're doing GitOps, my opinion is that you do most of it through Git workflows. So you don't necessarily need to log into Argo CD, but there's a lot of other workflows out there, and you actually do need to leverage some of the capabilities. So I'm going to do a first, hold on, let me share my screen. I'm going to do an Andrew here, Andrew Sullivan.
Okay.
And basically just troll the docs a little bit. So let me know if you can see my screen.
Yeah,
move this little thing here.
All good.
I never know how to move that little thing when Zoom comes in, right? Yeah, so I have to.
The mirror, yeah.
Yeah, so that little thingy. So I'm gonna do an Andrew Sullivan. So for you guys who don't know, Andrew does a show, Ask a OpenShift Admin Wednesdays, right? So he does something similar. He kind of just trolls through the documentation. There's something that Red Hat is working on a lot, is that, how do I put this nicely? The documentation leaves much to be desired. So there's some stuff that is missing, right? Some of the stuff that we're trying to quickly ramp up on. We actually hired a bunch of people to do documentation, both in the upstream and in our documentation, to try to ramp that up. So for those of you who's trying to break into open source software, just kind of a small tangent before I dive in. Documentation's always needed.
Yes.
So like
if you're trying to get started in a project, the docs team is always welcoming.
They're always welcoming people. So like if you're good at writing docs, if you want to break in,
even if you're bad at writing docs,
if you're bad at writing
docs
docs,
teams can help you, right? Like they have style guides and things like that. So yeah,
they will. They're any project I've ever worked on or have ever been involved in is always hurting for docs people. So there's a little clue for those out there who are looking to break into the open source software, open source world. Documentation, people will love you.
Yep.
Yeah. So let's talk about before we like dive into like what the RBAC is actually doing on Argo CD. I want to talk about a couple of concepts of Argo CD, right? So let's go to the core concepts here. Let me put this in the chat. Read the docs, Argo CD, read the docs, just, so you know. So first thing is application, right? I kind of just discussed this a little bit before in other shows. And if you're using Argo CD, you kind of get the concept, right? And so an application, right? Capital A application is an actual, it's a CRD when you install Argo CD.
Mm-hmm.
And it's essentially the representation of a collection of manifests, right? So either in a Git repo or from a Helm chart, it's like, something as simple as like pod service route, right? And that's an application, right? Or it could be as complex as all your YAML and your 12-factor application deployment with all its resources, right? That's also an application. So yeah, all the bells and whistles. So an application is it's whatever you make of it, right? It's like one of those things. It's
call it what you want.
Call it what you want. It's a collection. It's a logical collection of your application of your resources that make up your application.
What is that app that not a hot dog? Not an
hot dog, not a hot dog. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah, from Silicon Valley. Yeah,
yeah,
that's a great show.
This is not an application. This is
not an application. This
you
is
can
an
define
application.
that.
You can define what an application is.
Exactly.
So for me, is all the manifests that make up my application. It's a logical collection, right? And so, that is a resource type, right? And the reason why I want to mention some of these core concepts is that RBAC is going to apply to some of these concepts. One that's not being here is called a project. And so OpenShift users kind of get a little bit confused.
I was about to say, yeah.
Yeah, when if you're a Kubernetes user in OpenShift land, a project encompasses a lot of things, right, in terms of like metadata, network policies, or whatever, but it's logically grouped. You can think of it as a one-to-one to namespace. But in OpenShift land, we call it a project, which encompasses namespaces and other things in terms of security and that'd be kind of interesting for Andrew. I'm gonna ping Andrew. It's like he should probably dive deep, dive deep on what a project is.
Because we always say like, yeah, namespaces are part of projects. What's the other parts of projects?
Yeah, like we'll say like yeah, exactly, like SEC ranges, network,
all the other bits,
namespace. Like it's a logical collection of these little things, but for another show, for Andrew's show.
Yeah.
And so, but a project is conceptually is the same of inside of OpenShift as it is in Argo CD. There's a few key differences. Projects is the logical grouping of applications. So essentially is it's a way to get like that multi-tenant names I guess ability, right? So like you can create a project called, I don't know, foobar, right? And it may house 30 or 40 applications, and you'll do a lot of your RBACs specifically to a project. So it's like it says here, it's useful when you're using Argo CD by multiple teams, right? So you can get kind of like a multi-tenant, like team A can look at project foo, team B can look at project bar in the same Argo instance, and like they don't know about each other, right? So that's kind of like almost very, very similar to a namespace, almost very, very similar to an OpenShift a project, except projects isn't the overarching what is it, the overarching control bit, or I don't even know how to articulate this, is that in OpenShift / Kubernetes, like the namespace is like it's like the isolating thing, but it's on the top of the hierarchy, essentially, because you have like the namespace / project, the name of your deployment, right, and all these things are related to that. So you can have project foo, in application foo in project one, but then you can use that same name in another project. Whereas in Argo CD, you can't do that. In Argo CD, it's kind of flipped, where the application is the overarching, the view of the world is from the application's point of view, right? And it makes sense for Argo CD. It's meant to deploy applications. Your applications can span many namespaces, right? Like just because you have an application, it doesn't necessarily tie it one-to-one. And so, you can have an application made up of like lots of microservices across a lot of namespaces, right? And each, have their own little thing. So, but you still will apply your RBAC to the project itself inside of Argo CD. So there's a default project in Argo CD, and essentially it's essentially wide open. By default, right? Like anyone can deploy to that default namespace, and if you don't specify, project, I have to get my terminology right because because I'm talking about specifically an Argo CD project. You can deploy anything into the default project. It's by default everything lands there if you don't specify, which is different than the default project in OpenShift / namespace Kubernetes, because that's like restricted, right? That's like, that's the default project. It's like its own thing. You never deploy to it, that sort of thing. But here on Argo, you deploy to the default project. So you can create projects and maintain projects, kind of just like how you would do namespaces. And so then you have roles within that project. And so this here is actually when I want to like move away from projects a little bit. And let's do RBAC configuration. Okay. So a few things about RBAC and Argo. It's hard to say.
Yeah, say that 5 times fast.
Yeah, exactly. There are only 2 built-in roles in Argo. There's read-only and 100% admin. So 0 and 100.
Right. All or nothing. Okay.
All or nothing. So that's the default role roles in Argo CD. So this makes it a little bit laborious, I guess. In anything else that you need, you have to build yourself. So essentially, there's it's very, very granular, right? It's like very, very specific. And so you'll set a policy. You have to write your own policy, right? So anything outside of 100% admin and read only, you have to build it yourself, essentially. And so you have things like P stands for policy, right? And then you specify the role, user, or group, right? So like, if you say role, admin, or user Bob, or group, developers, right? You have to specify, all right, I'm going to create a policy that's going to apply to this guy. Resource, right? So whatever the resources are. So resource is a list, like clusters, right? Is a resource. Projects is a resource. Applications is a resource, right? Repository. So like you're going to say, okay, I'm going to create a policy that is targeting this role, user, group for this specific resource, and what action that you're going to allow, right? So you're going to say get, right? Like I'm going to allow get to this resource, right? I want to allow them to update. I want to allow them to sync. I want to allow to create actions, right? Delete, right? So you have to specify what what resource you want to target as well. So here's some examples here, right? Policy. I want my role or admin to be able to, in the repositories, I want them to be able to delete all.
Yeah.
And I'm going to allow that, right? So it's kind of a, that's how that maps out, right? So P, meaning I'm going to write a policy, role user group, right? So I'm going to say a role org admin, repositories, which is the resource, what action, right? Delete. What specific thing, right? Like all of it, right? So you can do either everything or a subset of it. I want to allow that, right? Yeah. And then you set up your groups, right? You can set up your group mapping here. So I'll explain what the group mapping is in a little bit. So here's some other examples. These are pretty good examples.
Yeah, like
DB admins for all applications, be able to create applications in this project.
And this Argo project.
Yeah, in this Argo project. It's good. Yeah, you need to specify because we're talking about different projects. In this Argo project, all of them, right? So allow delete everything, right? Be able to get everything, things like that. And so here, testing policy. Yeah, so this it gets kind of confusing because what you need to do is since you have only read-only and admin, when you deploy Argo CD, you need to tell it specifically, hey, I want to create a policy, right? So then you create your policy. I want to create the group, and I want to map the users to this group, and then I want to map this group to something else, right? And when I mean something else is that
something, yeah.
Yeah, so like when you can do here, there's a section about OAuth here. So you can, overview. Let's try overview. I found that this page. So this is local accounts. We're not going to do local accounts because no one cares. So here, so here is the section here. So Argo CD can connect to your authentication provider using OIDC, right? So that's kind of like the generic connector.
Yeah.
So like if you're using LDAP, GitHub, SAML, right? Whatever. Argo CD supports that. The only problem, I'm going to call it a problem, no more challenges, right? Because it is a problem. I think OpenShift doesn't support native OIDC connectors, right? And so I'm not sure why there was a decision made before my time. But OpenShift, you can't use OIDC natively inside of OpenShift. So you need to use a way to bridge these together, right? And for the longest time, Dex was used, and Dex was a popular method of doing this, just because of its lightweight and simplicity. Right. So like all it's doing is just taking how you're logging in and passing that to this other thing.
Provider,
right? Yeah, this other provider. So there's a picture of Jesse. He's one of the engineers in the Intuit side. I don't know how funny I see his picture here. And you can do this via it's essentially a config map in Argo CD.
Okay.
So you can set up like your connectors, your Dex configuration this way here. And here's like the OIDC provider. Like if you're gonna, you can code this in,
Okta
saying
or whatever,
use Okta, whatever, right? And specify the scopes and things like that. So even in the open source upstream, we actually made this easier via the operator, right? The upstream operator. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through an example I have for using Dex. So a few caveats, right? So one, this isn't supported.
Okay.
So
do I need to use that new thing that we created?
Yeah. So yeah. So
actually, that's not a future thing. This is not supported. Just flat out.
It's just flat out is not supported. So it's not supported because we don't support Dex officially. So there's no official support for Dex. So therefore, it's just not. We just can't use it, right? So, yeah, so we're gonna use Dex. This is like the old way of doing it, and then I'm gonna go through like the new way of doing it. But this will kind of just show how it's yeah, Dex is not supported. So this is this is the way to do it. This is kind of like the older way, but you can kind of see how this mapping happens. So I have a configuration here. This is my old school. This is, I think. Let's go to Argo CD.
So in chat, we have a question. What is the difference between OIDC and LDAP providers? I feel like, open LDAP came before OIDC, I feel like. And
yeah.
OIDC uses OAuth 2, where
OAuth 2,
LDAP is its own like lightweight directory in itself, right? So like, if you use an OAuth 2 service or provider, like there's a lot of options out there. Like you log in with Google, log in with GitHub, log in with Facebook, all those fun things that you see across the internet, kind of login deal. Those are using OIDC.
OID is the standard, right?
Right.
So OID is the and here's a good. I always send this article here. It's essentially it's an open standard of how of identity management, right? I guess, right? Or the OIDC is the connector, right? So OIDC provider is basically an implementation of OpenID. So using OAuth 2 and all that stuff. Whereas LDAP is like a whole full-fledged, right? Directory server.
LDAP is the thing that like Linux tries to use in place of Active Directory, essentially. Right?
Yeah.
Like,
and then
our land.
yeah, exactly. In Linux land. And so you can read up more about OIDC here in the I put it in chat here in the
Thank
Wikipedia. They actually made most Wikipedia. This is actually a good. This one, this one actually is a pretty good read. It's basically an open standard of identity. So where was it? Oh yeah, here. So here, this is again old school. This is version 1.8.2. We're on 2.0 now. So this is how. Here I'm using Dex, and then here, but that's not as important as what I'm doing here, right? So RBAC is this section here. So let me shift here. So so here what I'm going to do is I'm setting a default policy blank, right? Which essentially my default policy is read only. When you do that, when you don't provide one.
Okay.
So here I'm creating a policy, right? G is for group, right? And then role admin, that comes from, let me go back here. Comes from this page, right? Role admin here, right? So this is Argo CD. So G is group, and this group, and I'm gonna provide a role admin, right? So then you're gonna thinking like, where does this group come from? So this group comes from OpenShift. So when so this is kind of like where Dex comes in, like the OIDC provider, is that when you log into OpenShift, it's going to pass this information into Argo CD. So it's going to say, I'm going to create a group.
X.
Yeah. So say this user, this is the username, this is the group they're in, and blah blah blah. And this comes through, and this is actually the cluster admin group. In case you didn't know, system cluster admin is a cluster admin group. And I'm going to assign it so the admin role
Mhm.
in Argo CD.
Right.
And then I'm going to create a group called admins. And again,
Where do you create
whoever
that
logs,
group?
yeah, it's going to map it, right? Join it to that role inside of Argo CD. And I'm going to say developer, right? Developer has the role developer. So now you're thinking.
Now you're creating roles.
Now I'm creating roles, correct?
Right.
Yeah. So now because now where's my, there it is. Now, remember when I said there's only 2 roles. Now if I go back to, where's my, there it goes. Here, now I'm creating them because this doesn't exist. So
right.
And I'm creating a marketing group, right? So this role is marketing. So here I'm just creating it.
Right.
So it says, all I'm saying is that anytime someone comes in with the marketing group, assign them this role marketing, but I'm just creating it in the beginning. So,
so if we're using the Red Hat, there's a question from chat. If we're using the Red Hat GitOps operator, how do you integrate that with OpenShift auth?
Yeah, so that's with the Red Hat SSO operator. So
yeah,
so I'm gonna so I'll go through that towards the end here. I'll talk about that towards the end, and if I have time, I'll try to hack at it. Last time I tried to hack at it, as you see, I got a bunch of weird logs. So
okay.
But we'll see what goes on there. So, but yes, you use the RHSSO. So that's an operator that you'll use. So so here I'm essentially creating developer and marketing, but I'm just defining it. I'm just creating it, but I'm not defining anything yet.
Yeah,
that comes later. So if I go here to the manifests, this is a really old, no, that's not it. It's a really old repo that I actually never use, but it's good for this example here. Projects, there we go. Yeah, so here's an example. So what I'm going to do is I create a project, right? I'm going to create a project. This is an Argo CD project, so Argo CD app project. And I am going to create the role. So here, so going back here, notice I said, marketing gets assigned the role marketing in the application project. Now I'm setting my policies, right? So in the marketing, I'm saying a policy role marketing, right? So here I created it. Now I'm defining it here. I want to be able to get all projects, all applications in this project, right? So allow sync, right? So I can get it, meaning I can list it. I can sync stuff, right? In that project, and I can get all projects within this project. This is kind of something weird that you have to do, but for it to work, right? So I'm only allowing essentially read only and sync. So here, since I didn't list delete or update or anything like that,
right?
It won't, essentially it's a read only account, right? So here, when someone logs in as marketing, they're going to be able to see this app project, but not be able to do anything with it as well. So here, so this is it's kind of hard to maintain in your head.
Yeah,
so,
even I'm having a little.
Yeah, so it's essentially it's like in my former job, it's kind of like rat droppings, right? It's kind of everywhere. Right. So it's kind of, it's kind of like, wait a minute, I have to make sure I define first. I need to make sure to find the group, and then
build a group and then build a policy for that group.
And
that's
then if
part of the app project.
Yeah, that's part of this app project. And but I need to make sure it comes through via the OIDC provider as the right, so that, it has, you have to keep a lot of these pieces in mind, and it's hard to kind of keep track. So let's actually deploy this here.
Would allowing the sync permission allow the user to stop and pause a sync? Is that like carte blanche? Just you have all capabilities under sync?
I want to say soft yes. Why yes? So let's actually, I'm gonna deploy this. So let's actually find out. Here on, I have a cluster here. OC get nodes. Am I connected? Yes, I'm connected.
Yes.
So paste. Here. So let's. There it is. Blah blah blah. That'll go. And then gotta make sure Argo CD is deployed. So I'm using the open source Argo CD again. This is unsupported. I'm gonna go through the supported way after, because again, I built this a while back before
OpenShift GitOps was released.
Yeah. So get pods. So that's we can run a watch on that.
Yeah.
So something I learned. This is interesting, right? If I do k get pods, Argo CD, right? If I do a watch, right, it says because k is an alias, right? It doesn't work. But if you do this, alias watch equals watch space, and then do a watch, then that works. Isn't that weird?
Huh. That's some bash that I wouldldn't think.
Yeah, that's some weird bash, but as we're waiting, we see kind of the little bash hacking here.
Well, it's because the watch has its own environment, maybe, or something.
I think that's what it is. I haven't looked into it. I just one day I stumbled into it. I'm like, that's weird.
That's weird. Yeah.
But yeah, I think it performs its own subshell environment sort of thing. So I don't know.
Yeah, nice catch. One user says.
Yeah. So yeah, so there's the crash loop back off. Let's watch this not work.
Oh yeah, that'd be great.
I think it's waiting for.
It's got to wait for something to initialize before.
Yeah.
Oh,
it's probably waiting for the.
it's probably waiting for Dex server is not happy.
Yeah, it's not happy. I think it's waiting for Argo CD server to start running before it does.
Oh, anything. It could be that CRD isn't up and responding yet.
Yeah, so we'll see. We'll see if this works. If it even works. Error. Okay, now kick off again.
Oh boy.
Yeah, this might not work.
Is it where are you pulling Dex from?
Yeah, this might not work. Let me see here. Okay, get pods.
I just go to the supported version early, folks.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's definitely failing. I'm curious. Can you describe that? Oh, there you go.
Yeah, I'll do some. Yeah, I'm gonna describe it pretty here. Where is
back off? Error? There it is. I saw it.
Failed container. So pulled image.
Okay, successfully pulled it. Is it the wrong version or anything? No. Okay.
I think I did hear something about the version. I may be using a different tag. Let's do k get pods Argo CD. I think it is the version. I had this.
Well, wait. What did you run to instantiate this?
I did. I just basically applied this manifest here. What we were looking at earlier.
Oh, okay. So I thought that was 182 as well. No, it's version 227. Well, that's of Dex.
What? Yeah, it's of Dex. I think I'm using the wrong version of Dex. I think.
All right, let me look real quick for you.
Yeah, there was a chat about this here.
Oh, really?
Ignore the man behind the curtain. Yeah. I can't find it. I just can't find it on Slack currently.
Lovely. Argo CD Dex tools used by Argo CD. Okay, that's not helpful.
Yeah,
like this up. Version tagging that has to happen. I don't.
I'm looking for something that I've.
Oh, I need to go back to 1.8. There we go. Looking at the wrong version of the docs.
Wrong version of the docs. Yeah, I think what was it? I think I found the issue here. Oh no, this is from 182.
Do you
Migration
need
we
to
haven't done
set
yet.
a URL in Argo CD CM?
There is maybe. Let me see. OC get.
Oh my
OC
gosh, this
logs.
page just loaded horribly.
Fatal unknown command run Dex for Argo CD. Oh, okay. That may be related. Let's go to the Googles.
To the Google machine.
Crash loop backoffs. Okay. I bet you Andrew's on this because he's the one that. Yeah. Are you looking at this one where it rendered terribly?
No, I was looking at a docs page that rendered terribly from Argo CD. So let's also look at the docs configure Argo CD for SSO. Yeah, it's like a dead page. That's fun. Andrew says he's here, but not paying attention. Well, thanks, Andrew. We appreciate the moral support.
Oh, yeah. Well, I was looking. I was thinking of Andrew Block. He actually fixed it, and he told me which tag to use. And
don't make me sound the Andrew horn because I can get him coming.
Dex, Bubis do Dex. So then run containers command run Dex, Argo CD Dex. So maybe let's try that. Okay, get deploy. Live hacking, Argo CD Dex server. Argo CD Dex. I thought that.
I'm looking. I'm still looking.
Argo CD server. Let me try that. OC get. I'm going to try to change the version.
Yeah.
Let's try 7. Let's just go little by little. 8.3.
Until it starts working. Is that what we're gonna do?
Yeah, yeah. Just like. Here we go. All right. Andrew's writing tomorrow's blog post and listening to the. Was it?
Dulcet tones of Christian.
The dulcet tones of Christian. Yeah,
that works.
Yeah. So now it's doing rolling release.
Okay.
I think it just has to do with the version I'm using, but we'll see.
I hope so. Well, nope.
It looks. No,
not that.
Not that.
The 1.8 docs are kind of.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. OIDC. Okay, so.
Yeah, I'm still trying to look at the. There is OpenShift GitOps.
RBAC configuration. Let's see.
Oh, don't tell me it was in the G chat where that tag was, because I can't open a Chrome while I'm streaming. So.
Oh, well, which G chat? In GitOps?
The GitOps channel, I believe. Yeah.
What am I searching for? Dex or
Dex? Andrew Block.
Well, that's gonna be a lot of hits, but okay.
Yeah, it could be a lot of hits. Yeah. He says Dex version something or other. I'm trying to scroll through here. Yeah, navigating GChat isn't that that fun either.
It's one of those tools that Google just somehow can't make better.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know if search is sorted. It's very. Wish I wouldn't have had this conversation there.
Yeah. Where is? Custom.
Let's see.
Yeah, it's just the version of Dex is what this is. What the yeah, I'm trying to figure out what
I just
version.
accidentally clicked on something. Now my search is gone.
Okay, well there you go.
Jesus.
Where is my Dex? Can't. Unknown command run Dex for Argo CD. Did Argo CD help for usage? I think.
Okay, I think I might have found something for you. Nine-day-old issue. So you need to use what? That's You are not using the operator right now, correct?
I'm using the upstream operator.
Right.
Let's try.
I think there's a bug.
Yeah, there is a bug. I remember vaguely seeing it, and now this is what happens when I don't pay attention to the bug.
No. I think I got a doc for you. Hang on. Dex tool migrated to Argo CD util to Argo CD from Argo CD util to Argo CD Dex. Wow, we only have 15 more minutes, by the way.
Yeah. We may abandon this and I have to like switch over to the SSO way of doing it.
Yeah, let's just do that because I don't think we're going to fix this right now, given the length of the response to this issue. Like,
yeah.
Goodness.
I'm going to try this one last thing. And if not, I'll go to the.
Oh.
Yeah, we may have to revisit this at some other time.
I'm gonna. Where's the best place to send you a link? Zoom chat. Well, you have to open a browser.
Yeah, Zoom chat's fine. Yeah.
Okay. You have to open a browser though, so pick a good one.
Pick a good browser. All right, chat.
Just to let you know, Christian's the chip shortage has hit Christian's desk.
That's right. Like yeah. Yes. I can't have Chrome running and anything else.
Like the workaround until next fix. There it is. Right below. Check that out.
Okay, there we go. Check this out.
Error messages.
Issue with latest tagged RBAC specified. It works. Yeah. So migrated.
This change is documented here.
404 not found. Perfect.
Okay. Someone said that.
Yeah. Did someone say that? 404 not found?
Yeah, they said that page 404. Ran into the same issue with 187, 183 works fine. This is my customized patch as a workaround.
Okay, so if I just edit again, Oops, let me go. Let's see if this works. If not, I'm giving up. Command shared Argo CD run Dex name Dex. Okay, containers. This is okay. Init containers command CP. Okay, and then if it were, so this is the init container, CP that, and then shared Argo CD Dex run Dex. All right. Init error.
Okay. Oh, great.
I just totally foobarred this. Yeah. And
yeah,
so,
okay. Well, yeah. Abandon ship.
Abandon ship. Yeah. So,
did we say any of this was easy? I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't think so. Yeah. Well, what's like technology changes so fast. I actually did kind of test this out like a couple weeks ago. I'm like, oh, it works the same as it always does. And 2 weeks later, now it's just foobarred. So there you go.
All right. So what are you going to pull off in 12 minutes here?
What am I going to pull out in 12 minutes? So, it works. In case you guessed. Let's go to OCP and then do Argo CD. So, the first hit is configuring SSO for Argo CD on OpenShift. So I will put this in the chat. So now we're switching from unsupported, which I guess it makes sense why.
This is supported because it is documented.
This is supported because it is documented on the official Red Hat, OpenShift Red Hat page here. It does say, note, the bundle Dex OIDC provider is not supported. So it even tells you there, the first thing that you read. So what you're...
Red Hat SSO is installed in the cluster. Yeah.
So you have to install the Red Hat SSO. So I have another cluster here. I do an OC get routes grep console. OpenShift console.
And sadly, we do have a hard stop today.
Yeah. So it's
since Dex is shipped with the Red Hat GitOps operator, is there any chance that it would be supported down the roadmap? The reason I'm keen about Dex is because with Dex, it is dead simple to integrate OpenShift off with Argo CD. As simple as setting one environment variable in the operator, disable Dex false, and then setting spec Dex OpenShift OAuth to true in the Argo CD instance. So it's weird that it's not supported.
Yeah, well, it's just one of those things that when we say supported, it means that like one is that we have engineers working on the project, which actually, ironically, we do on Dex because Dex was a CoreOS project. And those engineers became Red Hat engineers, and they still work on Dex actually. But two is testing, right? And testing it with in our CI process, right? And we just don't test it. And mainly because Red Hat has its own, OpenShift has its own OAuth provider that we didn't incorporate it, right? So essentially, we took Tectonic, right? Tectonic, so many words.
Tectonic was the
Tectonic,
thing. Yeah,
was the CoreOS. We took that and mushed together with OpenShift v3, which is why you got v4. But some of the things just didn't come over, and so that's a long-winded answer of just saying it's not on the roadmap. And so the answer is it's not going to be supported. I mean, right now it's not on the roadmap. Right. That may change, but right now it's like it's not even. It's I guess it's such in the backlog. I think they did close will not fix, and then and two, it's just like they're worried about other things. So
Kaiser's very sad.
Yes. Yeah.
I think
So,
that's the right way to say that, but
yeah. That can change, right? Like if enough customers ask for it. I mean, we do have all the pieces there. It's just not, we're just, they're not just together, right? We have the engineers, we have the ability to test it. So it's there. All the pieces are there. But if enough people do an RFE with customers attached to it, so
yeah, please.
it could be a possibility. So
put in your request. Why is this taking so long for you to log in?
Yeah, I wonder why.
Where is this living?
This is, come on, log in. Do it.
There we go. Maybe.
Well, we got over the first hurdle.
Which is what?
Getting through the OAuth. Now it needs to actually load. Mm-hmm. So this is a very long-winded way of saying Red Hat SSO is actually
some operators.
Yeah, you go to operator hub. And it takes forever. I don't know why. Well, I know why. It's my computer.
Yeah.
I ordered the wrong computer. So I had a laptop refresh, right? At Red Hat, right? Every 3 years you get a new laptop. And I thought I was being clever by getting less threads, but they're faster.
No.
No, that's
not clever.
Always get more threads. Doesn't matter
always
how fast
get more threads.
Fast or slow they are.
Yeah.
Always get more threads. Yeah. So this is, it's not like you're building a server where it's like, well, this one will be a database and blah blah. So RHSSO. Right, and it says Red Hat single sign-on operator. You click that, you click install. You have to create a namespace for it, right? So I do RHSSO. Right, you install it, and then it'll actually install. And then you deploy an instance of Keycloak, and then that's it. While that's going, I'll go through the doc a little bit more. When you create a new instance of Keycloak, you have to create an OpenID connector, essentially. So,
makes sense.
And you connect that with using OIDC for Argo CD. And then you create the group claim, meaning that I want the group membership to come through,
right?
Via the when you log in, and then you need to take that token it generates, because it generates a token, and then base 64 it and load it into Argo CD. So in a secret here, you load whatever that long token is.
We're gonna be able to do this in 5 minutes, you think?
No.
I was just time checking, just to make sure.
Andrew's saying, what did you break? Okay, I need the he just chatted me on Slack. He goes, I broke if you're listening, Andrew, I broke the version of Dex. It's got me in a crash loop back off here.
Yeah, so Andrew Block can't join us right now either.
Yes, but it's there. So in case you're watching, that's what I did. That's what I broke. So you do the OIDC connector, and you do this. Essentially, you're telling Argo CD, hey, use this OIDC configuration and connect to Keycloak. And so that's essentially how that mapping happens. First, you create it in Keycloak. Then you bring that information, like the token and all the information that you want,
right? URLs,
into
groups,
Argo CD.
all fun stuff.
Cool.
Here, that's done.
View operator. 4 minutes here, but if I do Keycloak, create Keycloak. I just named this guy Keycloak. And everything else it's essentially that easy to get Keycloak up and running. If I can do it, anyone can do it. So that's so first you install the operator, and then you deploy an instance of Keycloak, and then you can go through this documentation to get Argo CD.
Did you link that? Sorry.
In the chat. Yes, I did.
Okay, cool.
The chat. So
I could have scrolled up, but that just would have made sense.
Yeah. Let's see here. Let's see here. And it crashed it back off. Let's take a look for the last few minutes. Yeah, Andrew. Oh, I have that. Yeah. Let's see here. Let's do an OC get pods. Oops. OC logs. Pod initialize. Oh wait. How do you view init containers? Do you know?
No, not off the top of my head. I've got a lot of brain fog today, so. Audience, if you know, or Andrew can chime in.
Oh, there we go. Let's try this. Even though we watch us. Hold on. Let's just do it. Next. So this is why I couldn't remember off the top of my head. Check this out.
Oh my gosh.
The version. That's the version I need to use. So can you blame me for not remembering the shop?
No.
Let's go back down here to this version and change it back to, let's see if this works.
My gosh. Okay.
Yeah, so the version you're supposed to use is this long SHA. So let's.
Where do you get the SHA from? GitHub?
Yeah, so he actually fixed it upstream, right? Like again, we do have engineers working on Dex, but it hasn't merged yet or something like that, or it hasn't been tagged for whatever reason here.
Right.
Yeah, we might still get an error, but we don't know. Because I made a lot of changes, and who knows what else I broke it.
A net error. I'd say that's bad.
Yeah.
Oh wait, go back.
Oh, it's doing something?
I thought it did. No.
It's doing something.
Never mind.
No, still error. Yeah. Yeah, so this is all foobarred here. Yeah.
Yep. 45 seconds.
Yeah. So so hopefully
all right. Next time we'll go the supported route.
Yeah, next time. Yes, exactly. We'll go to the supported route. And yeah, so it's just one of those things we just couldn't do in an hour. So we'll definitely revisit this topic and get something up and running for everyone.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you for tuning in to watch this car crash happen very slowly.
Yeah, how's the car crash? It's even we how do I stop sharing? Even we mess up, right? So
yeah, we're humans too. And humans weren't designed to remember long strings of random characters.
Yeah.
All right, folks. That is it for this week. Actually, I got a lot of meetings tomorrow morning, so I will be. If it's not too late for a question, I'm looking for suggestions on how to handle OpenShift configs with Argo, mainly how to set up the Git repo.
Oh,
the $10 million question.
Yeah, $10 million. We should have a show just with that specifically.
I know, like seriously.
Yeah, that's another big question that I get.
Yeah, it's a frequent question, and it's really kind of dependent upon your environment, right? Like
yeah.
What you're trying to do. So there's a lot of different ways to skin that cat. So we'll address that at some point in time in the future.
Yep. Actually, yeah. So one housekeeping thing. I know, Chris, you have to go, so I appreciate the time. Is we're taking a break for Summit, right? So we won't be back until I think July. I think is one of the.
Is that right?
Or whatever. 2 weeks after 2 weeks. So that'd be 4 weeks.
So the 24th, we're not on the air.
We're not on the 4th. It'd be July, right?
Yeah, I think so. The 1st.
July 1st. And we'll be actually going deep into Helm. We already had a Helm show, but we're going very deeper, much deeper. We're going to have Scott back, right, from Weaveworks. He's a Helm maintainer, so he'll be able to answer questions better than I. So yeah. So thank you everyone for watching. And,
yeah, appreciate it. Stay safe out there, folks.
Yep. Bye.